Hey, Dan, good to see you. Thanks so much for making time today. Let's jump right in.
Great, David.
Going to ask you three questions. First, what is your background?
So my background is varied. I'm one of those folks that their career path has zigzagged through various industries. So I spent time as an engineer in the aerospace industry. I've spent time working in the grocery retail industry on the buying side. I was sent to South America as an expatriate to start up a South American subsidiary for a corporate brand company. And I've spent the last 8 years or so in higher education.
Oh, awesome. Hey, second question is, can you think back on a challenge that you faced in your career and describe a little bit about the challenge and how you overcame it?
Absolutely. So the biggest challenge by far was picking up my family and moving them to South America for what would turn out to be 5 years. The company that I was working with at the time was sure that they had a piece of business and that I was going to run that piece of business for them. But getting onto the ground, the fact of the matter remains, it took another 6 months to actually get it closed. So they really did not have that piece of business. But the real question became, once that closed, how do you grow that business, that particular piece of the business, and how do you grow their Latin America business in general across 4 or 5 countries over the next 5 years? And therein lies, a huge challenge. Everything from how do you hire people, who do you hire, how do you communicate with the people that you're hiring as well? One of the people that I was working with said, well, quite frankly, they have to be able to speak English. Said if that's the requirement, then that's what you're going to get as someone who speaks English. Well, we really wanted the people who know how to do this job the best, right? And then this is also an atmosphere in Latin America where it's much, much more about who you know than what you know. So starting these businesses is a huge challenge. One, getting yourself closed with the customer itself, and then two, monetizing it, right? How do you stand in front of a room, in front of all of your prospective vendors, your revenue sources, and not only pitch them the value of a complete outsider being involved in that particular instance, but why it's worth their while to pay you money on top of it as well. And you know that you're understood when the room kind of explodes at the end of the presentation when you ask them for money, right? Yes, you got the point. And then delivering on the promise by building the right team. A huge challenge, and it was a ton of fun to do, and it was very successful.
Oh, awesome. And last question for you, Dan. What advice do you have for other business folks?
So what's more important in South America than maybe even in North America, it's all about how you network and who you know, right? How do you get from one person to the other? And one of the things that I think a lot of people didn't understand is the difference between doing business in the United States, where you might not like the other person, but it seems to make financial sense. So you'll hold your nose and you will do a deal anyways because it seems to make sense for you to do that deal. That's not the way it actually works in Latin America. And quite frankly, it's not the way it works most effectively in the United States either. It's really about who you know, who you're talking to, who you're meeting with, who introduces you to who. How you develop that relationship. Even though you aren't going to dinner with them, it's still a matter of how are you developing this relationship? Do you know about them? Do you know about their families? Do you care about them and their families? And so what it really highlighted to me over the course of 5 years is the importance of maintaining a network. Even today, those kind of relationships become really valuable. It's almost impossible to do business there without those kind of relationships. You take those lessons and you translate them to the United States, and an environment where they're much more financially motivated than relationship motivated. But if you really want to work on the most successful relationships, the successful business deals, you take the lessons from South America and you translate that into who do you know, who are you helping? Does someone call you for help and you're just happy to sit and talk business with them for an hour, knowing there's nothing on the other end for you, but it's going to come around at some point in time. Someone's going to give you a call, someone's going to pass your name along, and all the right things are going to happen for all of the right reasons, and they will happen with the least amount of friction making it the easiest way to keep your business moving forward as well, if that makes some sense.
Great, great. Hey, thanks so much, Dan. I really appreciate your time this morning.
Yeah, it's my pleasure, David, anytime.